Welcome everyone. Here's an Edexcel International Advanced Level Unit 3, the Business Decisions and Strategy. So this is the 2022 Gen paper, Unit 3. In this paper, the paper is a 2-hour paper and there are 3 sections, section A, B, and C. So let's go to section A. So usually I recommend spend 1 hour in section A, it carries 40 marks, and spend half an hour on each section of section B and section C. Extract A, Bramwell Brown with the clocks. Bramwell Brown with the clocks have been putting wonder and fascination on walls on all over the world. These hand-assembled weather clocks are unique. They tell the time and they forecast the weather from barometrics sensor inside the clock. The little mechanical cloud in the clock face move to show one of 5 forecast. Clouding over when it is going to rain and the sun appearing when the weather is improving. So anyway, it's a product. So when you're reading some kind of case study, you can highlight the important section. You can underline the very important section. Brother and sister Rob and Sarah Bramwell started the Bramwell Brown. So you can actually highlight their names in the case study. You can see brother and sister Sarah. So especially when you're reading, it's important because you can use their names in the application points. They trace their love of curious mechanical objects back to childhood. On Sunday afternoon, their father would wind the grandfather clock and check the barometer to see what the weather would be that day. We looked everywhere for a mechanical barometer in an appealing design but could not find anywhere. So we decided to design one at our kitchen table, building what was a very basic initial model, says Rob. More technical versions followed, and after several years of development, the first weather clock was launched in 2015. The clocks are available in 2 sizes with the option of 4 different colored frames. Limited edition weather clocks are available, but the number is restricted to just 250 clocks per design. So you see, number restricted to just 250 clocks per design. Right. So you can see that's a section A, extract A. Same question you can see in the extract B. The data for purchasing new production machinery for the limited edition weather clocks cost initial investment. So they are given initial investment £150,000, and you can see the additional profit. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see the total profit also given £287,550. You can see normally in this question they are asking to calculate the ROCE, return on capital employed. You can say the ARR, average rate of return. You see these calculations you can use to calculate the investment appraisal techniques. That's why they're giving these numbers. You can use this later. Extract C, you can see selected financial data for the Bramwell Brown, the current assets, the 3 current assets, inventory, trade receivable, and cash. The current liabilities they have given, and net current assets they have given. So using this, you can work out some kind of financial ratio, especially liquidity ratios you can calculate like asset ratio and current ratio. You can use this one. So extract D, the workshop. The Bramwell Brown where the clock has 150 parts that come from all over the world. These include the parts clock mechanism from Germany and the frames from Yorkshire, UK. Every clock is produced during the job production after a customer order is received. The clock is individually assembled with care and pride by extremely skilled employees in a workshop in Hampshire, UK. They personally design and stamp a certificate that goes into its box. The weather clocks are so popular that there is waiting list. That is indication of some kind of profitability. These are so popular. All right, so another extract in the section A. Bramwell Bound Design and Intellectual Property IP. Ever since the initial design and the product development, we have protected the design and intellectual property. We have used a range of IP protection, including patents, design rights, copyrights, and trademarks. We have actively pursued registrations of our IP across many countries worldwide, and we will continue to do so in all future research and development work. Bramwell Brown, along with its investors, take very seriously the protection of the company designs and inventions. We will work hard to ensure that any violations are effectively dealt with. I give you that also. So that's all about the case study for section A, right? So now let's go to the questions in the section A. You can see my students. This is the 2022 Jan paper unit 3. So do our paper. So normally there are three sections: section A, section B, and section C. So spend 1 hour in section A and half an hour each on B and section B and C. The total mark for this paper is 80. Right. So with that, as you can see, there's a this question. There is a using extract B calculate to two decimal places the average rate of return ARR. Yeah, it was show your working. First, I told you ARR, take the average profit, divide by initial investment into 100. Right? It's an easy question for mark. You can easily do that. I'll show you the market scheme here. See ARR with the formula. Right? So you can see ARR formula, average profit for the year over cost of initial investment into 100. So which is 47,925 over 180,000 pounds into 100, which is the answer coming 31.95%. Put the percentage sign, otherwise you will deduct what mark. If the answer is given 31.95, right, without working, about 4 marks. So answer should be 31.95%. That's an easy question. After that, we are moving into another 4 mark question. Another calculation question back to back. By using extract C, calculate to two decimal places the current ratio for Bramwell Brown in 2020 April. That doesn't show you working. Current ratio, they're asking current ratio. Current ratio equal current assets over current liabilities. So that was easy question. Current assets over current liabilities. Here the formula, 1 mark, current assets over current liability. So we can add them all the current assets in the case study. Trade receivables, inventory, cash, divided by current liability. Then the answer should be 2.29. 2.29, 120,183 over 53,330, that is 2.29. This is not a percentage sign, this is just a number, 2 decimal points. So because it's a ratio, the answer is 2.29 about 4 marks. So normally to over 2, the ideal ratio is 1, 2 is to 1. 2.29 is perfect. If they don't have any liquidity issue, it means. Right. Next question is a part C, 8 mark question. Discuss the possible benefits for Bramwell Brown of using job production to manufacture its weather clock. So you can see the job production topic we discussed in the unit 2 on the production techniques, job production, batch production, and flow production. But here they're asking how using job production, what are the possible benefits for them? This when you're writing a 8 mark question, right? You can start with the definition and say two positives and two negatives. Okay, you can use that in job production, one advantage and however point. One advantage and however point. For 8 markers, we don't need a conclusion. So to see job production, possible benefits of that thing because they can do the custom design clocks. However, it will be costly and expensive, you can say, with the application, right? So we'll see how we can write some model answer like that. So 8 marker question, the job production. You see here, the definition, job production means producing one single item at a time. One single item at a time. It is particularly suitable for luxury products such as Bramwell Brown weather clocks and their different designs. It's definitely suitable for luxury product like these weather clocks. Employees are involved in the entire production process from start to finish, which would result in higher motivation and pride in their work. So employee motivation would be very high because in the job production you are getting a variety of different products, and as a result of that you can able to improve your motivation and try their work. The quality of work is consistent. The quality of work is consistent and like to be high. That's another advantage, right? So employee involvement is very high, higher motivation, and the quality of work also consistent and high. The customer audits responded to individually and likely to create a great customer satisfaction as shown by the waiting list. Each customer audit responded individually and likely to create a greater customer satisfaction. At the however point, some students are writing like a two positives together and two negatives together. I prefer actually write one positive and one negative, and again one positive and one negative. However, the customer motivation will be high, right? And their entire production involving everyone. However, the cost is very high. In this method of production, you can see high cost of production. And also you can see the second one, the high quality. Consistently, people actually making high quality products with their clocks. However, there is no economies of scale, or economies of scale are very less likely, which means we can't do bulk purchase, so no discounts in bulk purchase. Therefore, cost benefits are not there, economies of scale. And also, manufacturing a weather clocks would take long time from order in comparison to batch production. We can say that in comparison to batch production, so application weather clocks would be able to take long time. Right? And also, employees may want higher wages due to the skills they bring to the business organizations. Right? So normally, however, it would be a good decision. Like I mean, like with the clocks, with the different designs you can do, how it is expensive and time consuming. And secondly, you can see the quality of work would be very high, staff motivation would be good. However, employees maybe want higher wages due to the skills they bring into the business. It is very clear that when you're writing 8-mark question, try to balance your answer. If you give two positives, provide two negatives. Right? Some students are writing two positive and one negative, but I always believe you can get higher marks if you're writing two positives and two negatives. All right, so we are going to the next question, part D, 12 marker. There are two 12 markers coming. 12 markers are the maximum you can spend like 15 minutes on one each 12 marker. The 12 marker structure I'll explain usually like a they ask assess question. You start with the definition and then similar like 8 marker, positive, negative, or two positives or two negatives, and we need a valid conclusion also. If we assess the potential difficulties for Bramwell Brown of protecting his intellectual property IP rights. Difficulties for protecting the intellectual property because they are doing weather clocks. Anyone can do the weather clock. We call the engineering part they can do. Therefore, protection of intellectual rights, especially brand and the design and everything, will be difficult. We'll see how we can write this answer. And to define first of all what we mean by intellectual property. Intellectual property, or simply we can say IP, refers to creative work which can be treated as an asset or physical property and covers four main areas: copyright, trademarks, design rights, and patents. In the examination, if the student will be unable to write like this, it's okay, like vague definitions also we can give marks, but this is the four areas covered in the intellectual property like copyright, trademarks, design rights, and patents. IP protection of the weather clocks will generate additional cost for Bramwell Brown. Computing paperwork for patents and copyright protection may require specialist legal help which cannot be done in-house by Bramwell Brown employees. Patents and other forms of IP have to be completed for different countries. So this may add to the workload and administrative burden at Bramwell Brown. So that's it. Let me see the cost part of this question. We're asking what are the difficulties they are facing. When you write difficulties for a question, for example, the question again, they're asking what are the difficulties they face when you're going to IP. Potential difficulties. When you're asking potential difficulties, you need to write about the mainly the master on the difficulties mainly. The evaluation point only can give the benefit side. So don't start with the positives in this kind of a question. Start with the negative and then followed by positive. Negative, positive, negative, positive approach. You see, they may require specialist legal help which cannot be done in house. And patents and other forms of IP have to be completed for different countries, so this may have to be added workload and administrative burden to Bramwell Brown. Policing the IP is also difficult and relies on the breaches of the being protected um, Bramwell Brown in the first instance before it can actions against the infringement. The increased use of internet has also increased the chances of intellectual property theft, making intellectual property protection more difficult. However, by protecting the designs of its weather clocks, Bramwell Brown may be able to gain a competitive advantage in the market as no other business will be allowed to copy its unique clock design. So this point, you can see a however point. In this case, it's not a negative point, it's a positive point. Because this question they're asking assess the difficulties, then you have to start with the difficulties and then the advantages. So negative point and positive point, negative point and positive point. You can see that's how you have to balance the answer. By having IP protection, Bramwell Brown will be able to stop unauthorized exploitation of its design and innovations by other rival businesses. Being able to protect its clock designs may enable Bramwell Brown greater access to finance. So you can access to finance also if you have protection rights, is correct. You have a intellectual property act, you can access to banks because they can say I have patent rights, give me the loan. Investors also say might be more willing to lend money if the business has greater protection from rival. Right? And then gets to the conclusion point. The value of having intellectual property IP will be depending on always because it's depend on who, depend on how is it is for the Bramwell Brown to monitor, and if it does not have a positive impact in terms of creating a barrier to entry against other business in the same market. So how it depends on right intellectual property, right? The protection is depending on how the creating barrier to enter into the market, how it creates a barrier. Intellectual property creates a barrier to other firms right, like to enter into market by copying them. That's a conclusion, right? You can see that's the end of the first 12 market question. To assess question always define the point, right? If there's difficulties, then first limitation and then positive point. Right? Second limitation point and then positive point and the conclusion. Right? Let's move on to part E, another 12 marker, the last 12 marker, the last question of the section A. Asking assess the usefulness of Bramwell Brown of the Porter's five forces model when analyzing the market for weather clocks. Porter's five forces model, right, in the decision making techniques and business strategy, ends of matrix, Porter's diamond, Porter's five forces. Like this kind of, there are several model portfolio analysis like that. There are some models. So this is the Porter's five forces. They check this time for 12 months. Usefulness of this thing. Porter's five forces, mainly there are two bargaining powers, like bargaining power of customer and bargaining power of supplier. And there are two threats coming: threat of substitution, threat of new entrants. There is in the middle, you can see there is a competition among rival business industries. This can ask how Porter's metrics can be used to write the answer. You can see part E. The Porter's five forces, you can see division. The Porter's five forces model is a framework for analyzing the nature of the competition within an industry and can be used to identify the potential profitability of a particular strategic decision. Right. So that's the definition part of this answer. And it does so by looking at five main factors. So you can understand here what are the main five factors of Porter's five forces. Some people can draw it even the, like a 20 mark or 12 mark also. You can draw economic like you're drawing charts. So we can explain by verbally like mainly in writing like this model. And also you can draw it also like threats of substitutes, threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, and competitive rival like that. Bramwell Brown could use this model to quickly assess a position with the marketplace. As well as that advantage, they can assess their position within the marketplace and how each of the five forces affect it. For example, it could analyze the threat of new entrants of new substitutes of products and the impact on its market share. Bramwell Brown can then look at what the strategic changes are needed to protect itself against new entrants and potential substitute products by trying to increase the barriers to entry and increase the brand loyalty. Okay, so that's how they give you some idea. So normally writing write the positive points and then negative point like this kind of a question. And with application again, Bramwell Browns could analyze the bargaining power of its suppliers for the 150 parts that go into the weather clock to see if their substitute supplies is time in times of raw material shortages. Yeah, because you can analyze the bargaining power of suppliers, how they can go to 150 parts of the weather clock parts are there, they can go their substitute available in shortage. Right. Everything one by one, we can analyze. By using the model, Bramwell Brown could look to take the advantages of its strong position and helps it to avoid taking poor strategic decisions in the future. However, it is only a management tool and relies on the skills of the person being able to analyze the competitive environment. That's why, however, you can see how we evaluate a metrics. You can see it relies on the skills of the person. So there can be like a top models can be there like ends of metrics, Boston metrics, but we have to concern about the person who use the person's skills and abilities of using that thing, right? And then the Bramwell Brown is a small business, the clockmaker, and whether may not have access to market data or be able to apply the model to such a unique product. It could be argued that due to this uniqueness, Bramwell Brown faces a little competition as it is the only product on the market, so it does not need to use this model to analyze the rivalry among the existing competitors. It's uniqueness, right? Small business, therefore, it will be able difficult to analyze the rivalry among existing competitors. And also look at the conclusion. Porter's five process model is a management decision making tool which must be used in conjunction with other decision making tools such as PESTLE. PESTLE stands for political, economical, social, technological, legal, and ecological problem, and also or SWOT analysis to increase its effectiveness, SWOT, strength, weakness, and opportunities. Right. Because always in a this kind of a questions are there, like similar questions were tested. The like in a papers, like always evaluating that kind of a thing, right? Evaluating this kind of questions based on the models. You can say overall like this kind of a thing must be used along with the other one, like Porter's five process model. You can use the other ones such as uh, portfolio analysis, SWOT analysis, PESTLE analysis, like that. So I'll show you my the question map 23 grid. You can see here they're asking 2020 October portfolio analysis. One question they're asking for a 4 marker aim of the portfolio analysis Boston metrics question. I can see the calculation question is per pink color. Always there are calculations coming. This time only 2 calculations they asked back to back, ARR and the this current ratio calculation. You see, this is the they're asking you Porter's five forces. This asked after long time, right? In section A, but in section B and C, I mean the 20-mark question, these sections are not that much unfamiliar. You can see always the 3 times these questions were asking. One they ask in October, we can see they using Porter's strategic metrics evaluate the best which are under Porter strategic metrics we ask you, but the focus, cost leadership, and the uh, differentiation strategy. And ends of metrics they ask for a 20 marker, right? And the Pandora strategic decisions to focus on the focus on the business, right? Like that, they're asking 3 questions related to this kind of theoretical models. This time, this paper, the recent paper we are doing right now, 2022 Gen paper, you can see they ask about the usefulness of the Porter's five forces model. Porter's five forces model. Okay, so that's the end of the section A of the 2022 January 3 paper. Let's go to section B, the 20-mark question. Going to do this section, so you can spend like half an hour on this section to read and to write. So before you actually read the case study, I always thoroughly recommend to read the answer, read the question first. Then with that idea, you can go to the answer in the case study. So asking evaluate 20 marker, evaluate the likely impact on Starbucks stakeholders from the strategic decision to expand its Starbucks pickup service. So you can see this answer. This question is based on the section of the growth, organic growth and inorganic growth, and you can see the problems arising from growth. You can use those chapters into writing your answer. Evaluation questions like a likely impact they are asking for Starbucks case study. Strategic decision to expand the Starbucks pickup service. And in this case, you can define what is meant by the growth, organic growth. Expanding their pickup service, kind of like making new development of the product, right? And you have to write my structure for 20 mark is always definition, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. Like they do like at least 3 or 4 positives and 3 or 4 negatives, and the conclusion. Like a you can see 2 12 markers. And taking for that content, you have to write like big content to understand the case study, and you have to write like that. More positive points, like at least 4, and 4 negative points, which balances. Right. Impact mean the both side you can write the positives and negatives both on Starbucks stakeholders. Okay, let's go to the case study right now. Starbucks. Extract F. Reimagine, redesign, reorganize the Starbucks approach of strategic transformation. In June 2020, Starbucks reported a large decrease in its American sales. Starbucks announced a significant shift in strategy, the launch of the new service concept called the Starbucks Pickup for an on-the-go experience. The company calls the transformational phase a bridge to the future that targets customers who simply want to pick up their drink and who prefer advanced payment options, right? So it's like pick up points, you can do advanced payments. After ordering and paying on the Starbucks app, customers just look at their name on the status board when they arrive to the store and collect their order. So because they find out the status is a fulfilled or in progress, that's why. Starbucks is speeding up plans to roll out the new concept to help the boost sales and to allow for mobile ordering. Starbucks has been testing the strategy at the 2 Starbucks pickup stores in Manhattan and Toronto. The company is also equipping employees with handheld point of sale devices like electronic card readers and all to help increase speed of service in drive through. Kevin Johnson, the president and the CEO, said that every step of the way we have thoughtfully addressed the needs of Starbucks stakeholders and are particularly proud of the industry leading investment we have made to support our stores while creating a safe, familiar, and convenient experience for our customers. Unquote. Starbucks share up more than 30% since dip in March 2020 and an increase by 6% after the announcement. So strategy, you can see here the numbers. Yeah, store sales growth actually 2019 gone up. So but 2020 is gone down by 41%. You can see boosted by pandemics and all. Right? Online orders only go on. Change in number of transactions. 2019 is increased by rose by 3%, but 2020 is gone down by 53%. It's a big thing. And the revenue also you can see there's drop of 4,681 to 2,800. That is 4.6 billion to 2.8 billion US dollars. A big gap, big drop, right? And also operating income, 1 billion income, 1 billion operating income becomes a loss for 400 million US dollars in 2020, which has Starbucks. So profit margin, the operating profit margin, 21.8% has gone down to minus 14.4%. So performance-wise, it's a very bad situation. You can see there. So that's all about the section B. So question they're asking again, I remind the question, evaluate the how the impact of the expansion strategy, like evaluating the expansion strategy of this case study. Okay, so we're doing question number 2 of the 2020 Jan paper 23. Right, this question, right? We go through Starbucks and their profit margins and their things. Okay, you can see the 20 marker how they access. Question number 2, defining stakeholders. Stakeholders are a group of individuals that have an interest in the actions of a business, such as employees, owners, customers, suppliers, and local community. You can define here who has stakeholders is asking the impact on these decisions on stakeholders of Starbucks. Right, so define stakeholder, right, who have interest in the actions of the business. There could be winners and losers from the new Starbucks pickup concept. right? And the shareholders of Starbucks would benefit from this new concept as it would provide the customers with another channel by which they can purchase the Starbucks products, thus increasing sales. Extract G shows how the shareholders of Starbucks have been negatively affected with the operating profit margin falling to 14.4%. It's a negative number, therefore the strategy could bring much needed revenue into the Starbucks. The shares in Starbucks did increase after the news of the expansion of the Starbucks pickup services, so shareholders may see the value of their investment increase in the long term. Employees could benefit from this new concept as it could provide job security at a time of falling sales if the new concept is successful. Customers might be positively affected by the new Starbucks pickup services as it offers an alternative way to purchase Starbucks products and could save time by using the app. So first of all, they talk about the shareholder wise because the share price has gone up. That's a benefit. That's the first point. You can see this point. Talk about the shareholders. The share price going up. Share price will good. It's good for the shareholders. Second point, employees' point of view. Employees, whatever as a result of that, the new concept, they can save, provide job security in the time of falling sales. When the sales are going down, that means their job security will be a problem. But now, no problem because this concept successful. Their job security will be sure. And customers' point of view, you can see customers can save their time. They can do online order by using the Starbucks app. They can do the pickup point. The third stakeholder. The fourth stakeholder can see suppliers' point of view. Suppliers to Starbucks might see an increase in the amount of inventory, and if Starbucks sees an increase in the sales due to the success of the new concept. So you can see they're talking about the 20 mark. They talk about the different, at least four different stakeholders and what happened to them. In this case, they talk about the shareholders, employees, customers, and suppliers. At the other one, however, point the counter arguments is case study. However, the suppliers to Starbucks might see an increase in the amount of inventory they're seeking to interest the big success of the new concept. However, the new Starbucks pickup concept may result in fewer employees being needed. So, employees is good, job security will be protected, but few employees will be needed to work in the stores as more customers are pre-order their drinks and few employees needed overall. Some employees may need to be retrained, and use of the new app could be handheld point of sales devices, adding the cost of the service. Yes. So then employees, some problems coming because it's less staff needed now. And secondly, employees have to retrain. There's another problem. Retraining for the new system is another challenge. And customers' point of view, some customers do not like to use the apps and therefore use existing distribution channels with personal interactions with the barista. So may lose customers. So what happened? Because we are using app now, not a barista. Barista is a person who works in a coffee shop. Then personal interactions, what happened will be losing out. That's as a result, so losing the customers. Moreover, Starbucks will need to invest into further developing the technology for the app adapt stores to be able to pick up pre-order drinks and provide training for existing employees at a time when it is currently facing a huge drop in the revenue and profit. There may be an environmental impact. Let's talk about another one badly affected one environment stakeholder because the new service of the customers are unable to use their need own cups of refills with the pickup service. So there's another problem. Some customers are unable to use their own cups of refills. So environmental, what happened then? They are throwing away this styrofoam cups into the environment, which will make a pollution. And the overall impact, the conclusion wise, the Starbucks stakeholders will depending on whether Starbucks can make this success, and it all benefits of the stakeholder groups comes and not just some. Like that, you can get some idea. Positive, four positive stakeholders for the employees, shareholders, customers, and suppliers, and also the negative side of the stakeholder. You can see what happened. The Starbucks negative stakeholders for the employees, for the customers, for the environment, and for the investment, everything, technology. We can see this market schemes clearly mentioned about the indicates about that thing. The guidelines you can see you can go up to like 15 to 20 marks at level 4 answering. accurate and thorough knowledge and understanding supported throughout the relevant and effective use of the business. Next 15 to 20 marks you can achieve like that way. Okay, now let's go to the final question of this paper, the section C. We are going to discuss about section C, the 20-mark question. So let's go to section C. You can see it's extract H, Spotify's growth. You see, before we go to the case study, we will read the question first. Last 20-mark question, section C. So here also I expect you can spend 30 minutes to read the question, understand the question, plan your answer before you write, and then you can write your answer. So planning is really important. Make sure you can write 4 positives and 4 negatives for this. Okay, section C was a question here. Evaluate whether organic growth is the best method to Spotify to use its planning for further expansion. Organic growth, inorganic growth, right? This question was tested twice before in the Edexcel. So you can see this is the latest question, 20 marker, organic growth question. They asked the impact of last question. Here we go. Evaluate the organic growth is the best method for Spotify to use their plan. Same kind of a question came regarding next Netflix question in October paper 2020. Evaluate whether Netflix should fund this expansion by using long-term loans. Using the debt, using our long-term loans as kind of organic growth. It's not a mergers and acquisitions. This is the, you can see this 2020 October paper, but 2020 Jan paper also there's the same kind of a question, but both based on organic. So my student, you can see now there's a chance of inorganic growth question can become, right? Because organic growth tested so far. So inorganic growth, here we go. We can mostly welcome, right? So inorganic growth is mergers and acquisitions. Right. So it's the question again. Spotify is the question. You can see evaluate organic growth is the best method for Spotify using planning for further expansion. Let's go to the case study. Spotify's growth. When Spotify launched its music streaming service in some European countries on 7th of October 2008, few people would have thought that this is unknown Swedish-based startup would eventually grow into the world's most popular music platform. In 2008, music streaming was still in its infancy, right, accounting for a small fraction of global music revenue. Eventually, Spotify's early entry into the music streaming market would be a move into that would pay off. Spotify continues to be the market leader with a market share of 30%, followed by closely by the Apple Music with 25% market share and Amazon Music with 12% market share. You can see this one. So Spotify number 1, Apple number 2, Amazon number 3. As figure 1 shows, Spotify did not grow quickly at the start. Right? They started the organic. However, by 2013, the streaming pioneer Spotify had roughly 30 million monthly active users and 8 million premium subscribers. Monthly active users are listeners who are able to enjoy music for free, but it includes advertisements. Premium users have access to the music streaming with no advertisements included. That's a feature of the premium users. Since then, Spotify's numbers have continued to steadily grow, reaching 299 million monthly active users and 138 million premium subscribers by the end of June 2020. Right. So, the now Spotify is the number 1 market leader after you can see Apple will be there and Amazon Music was there. And Spotify went public 2 years ago. When public meaning going public of flotation, stock market flotation in New York Stock Exchange, and valued at almost 50 billion US dollars. 50 billion US dollar company. For the 3 months ending 30th June 2020, it reported an operating loss of 167 million euro on 1.89 billion euro in revenue, most of which came from premium subscription. So they have a revenue of 1.8 billion euro, but their loss is 167 million. So they have given some additional information like their charts, Spotify worldwide monthly users, millions, you can see monthly active users, and the premium subscribers, they have given the figure 1. Okay, that's all about the case study, the small case study. So now 20 marks we have developed based on the organic growth. So organic growth, here you have to define and then you review two positive, four positives and four negatives regarding the Spotify. Right, so let's go to the answers. Here we go. Organic growth is expansion of a single business by extending its own operations using retained profit. Right. So organic growth definition is an expansion of a single business by extending its own operations using retained profit. Using retained profit. Loan capital. Right. Retained profit is internal method. Loan capital or funded by share capital all external. Loan capital external or share capital also external. Organic growth can be a safer option than inorganic growth. All right, yes, that's true. First advantage, safer option than inorganic growth, as it relies on a tried and trusted business model which is clearly working on Spotify. Spotify is estimated to be worth 50 billion US dollar to have access to source of finance to fund any further expansions. Right, this application they are using 50 billion, they valued their company. And organic growth avoids cultural clashes which take over of a rival streaming business such as Apple, which often happens when inorganic growth occurs. Yes, another advantage is in organic growth there is no cultural clashes, whereas inorganic growth in many there are so many cultural problems are there. But organic we are using your own money, no cultural clashes. Right. And also it can avoid the loss of jobs, right? Loss of jobs can be avoided and then often happen when there is a duplication of resources due to the mergers or takeover. We do M&A, yes, there can be duplication of works, right? We might have two drivers, we need only just one. We might have two receptionists, but we need only one. So duplication of jobs we can eliminate, but here by using organic type of growth, no duplication, so jobs will be saved, right? And organic growth can create a more sustainable growth, which will build the Spotify existing strength and less risky in the long term. Advantages, less risky, and also will be able to reduce the duplication of jobs, and also avoid cultural clashes. However, you can see the organic growth, the growth achieved may be dependent on the growth of the overall market, right? To be achieved may be dependent on the growth of the overall market. And also, yeah, it's like not only their company performance is it's based on the environment they perform, the company, the time they perform, overall market performance, right? And also you can see Spotify is the market leader with 30% market share. It might be hard to build further market share due to this. It might be hard to build further market share due to this. That's why 30% means they are almost like now like a 25, more than 25%, one quarter they on. So there's kind of monopoly. Right? Therefore it will be harder. So that's another evaluation point. Moreover, we can see it is difficult to know how large streaming market will grow. It's difficult to know how large streaming market will grow, and the actions of rivals such as Apple and Amazon Music might restrict the growth of Spotify if organic growth is used. Right? And organic growth often is a very slow way to grow in comparison with inorganic growth. It's a very slow method, right? And difficult to large stream market take actions against Amazon Apple. Inorganic growth can lead to greater economies of scale, right? This is organic. So they're asking about which to go to inorganic growth. It can lead to great economies of scale due to rationalization of duplication resources. So good points, right? Even you can write the right positive side of the other one also. Organic growth can lead to lack of new ideas from outside the business. Yeah, you're using your own resources only. So outside resources you can't use, therefore running out of the ideas. Right? And also Spotify with loss of 167 million in 2020 does not have retained profits to reinvest back into the business and would have to rely on the share capital expansion. Figure 1 shows that the bulk of Spotify users are classed as monthly active users who do not pay to use the service, which could restrict the growth if Spotify does not look into the need to grow organically. The overall benefits of using organic growth depending on the culture and objective of the growth. always this 20 mark also, you can see they ended by using the however it depends rule. So even the whatever the organic growth to inorganic growth is depending on the how the culture or employees, for example, let's say like now Spotify, they're using their own like a loan systems and everything to grow. So it's based on depending on the culture and objective of the growth, right? Sometimes some people are there, they don't like to, they restrict change, right? So these things can evaluate while using that method. So that's all about the mark schemes and everything. You can see now it's the end of the paper, right? So we just discussed and just finished the 2020 2 Jan paper of Unit 3. So this time also can see, take some idea right from this paper. This is a recent paper available for the people who prepare for the 2022 May June exams. I feel this will be very great help for them. So please, if you actually think this would be helpful, please put a like and share my channel, and also you can put subscribe my channel. And thank you very much, and wish you all the best for the upcoming exams. Thank you.